based on our observations of your lesson, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best lesson, how would you rank your lesson?
I wish it were better, but I think it's going to be a 5.
Okay. Was there anything that pleased you about the lesson that you thought was good?
Well, I thought it was a great opportunity for my students to review things that we have learned in the year, throughout the year, and at the same time practice using their technology skills.
Okay. What would you have changed or move the lesson closer to a 10?
I really wish that I knew of a way that I could implement my teaching into their independent work in IXL.
Okay. So what would your students be doing differently if it was a 10?
It would give me an opportunity to be on the same question that they are on.
Okay. So like examples for them before they start working.
Right, so we could model like we do in the regular classroom teaching, where I go over examples with them of what the questions will look like, and we talk about how to answer them correctly.
Okay. All right. So more of a scaffolding model.
Yes, I know they know the information, but the formats of the questions I would love for them to see before they get started.
Okay. So more like how they're represented in the program you're using.
Yes.
Okay. So what would it look like? How would we monitor how well the students were doing? How would they be successful?
Well, if there were a way for me to know what the question they were looking at looked like.
Okay.
Some way to get feedback.
Okay.
To see if they were understanding or not before I let them on their own to work.
Okay, so if we're using the IXL program, we could possibly do the group jams.
Now, I'm not familiar with the group jams. Could you tell me more about them?
Okay, so the group jams is where they join like an online class in IXL.
Do you mind if I pull that up on my screen?
Sure.
If I go into the learning, and this is my lesson that I taught, what could I do to measure what my students, whether they were getting it or not, before I let them work on their own?
Okay, so you're gonna click Start Jam at the bottom, right here on the blue. And this is a new tool that came out this year.
Okay.
And then you select all the students that you want to join that jam, so you can sort them by whichever.
It looks like I can sort them by homeroom.
And then start your jam.
Is this controlled by the teacher?
It is.
Is it something I can project?
Yes, you can put it on your board, and the students can view it, and they can view the same question on their computer screen as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That sounds like what I might be needing.
So they have the opportunity to answer it independently, and then you can review the responses, and it gives the explanation like IXL does, and it tells you who answered which question correctly, if they missed it or got it correct.
The youngest U.S. president was Theodore Roosevelt. He was 42, so that would be who?
And then once you click review, it goes over the explanation.
Oh, I like the way even when you get it correct, it gives the explanation.
Yes, and this is good because then they can see, because with each question they get the explanation. So if they get it wrong, they need to know to review that information instead of just moving on. That way they can use that to see what their mistakes are.
And we're all doing the same question.
Yes.
That is a terrific tool.
Yes. The only thing with that is it does not count toward their SMART score, which is a good thing because they won't be getting points for the questions that you answer with them.
So it's authentic.
Yes.
Let me write that down. It looks like it's something that they can do independently, but the teacher supports would let me know if they're ready.
Yes. So if you can see how many people got it correct, or even if they did get it wrong, do they understand reading the explanation, and can they move forward from there? And you can choose harder questions to move on to on the screen, because with IXL the questions get progressively harder.
Oh, that's good. I don't want to let them loose until they're ready.
So I make sure I progress to at least 2 or 3 harder questions when I'm doing it. That way they can see, the progression as they go as well.
Oh, that's great. Now, tell me more about this. This would be something the whole class will be doing at the same time as me, and I would see from the dashboard who was involved.
Yes.
When we all had the green check, we're all on the same page. What would I do to transition from the jam into allowing them to work independently?
When you close the jam or in the jam with that button, it takes
Right
them
here?
off of it, and then on their screen, it leaves them on that iExcel, so they don't even have to go search for it. They can just
Okay.
start working right there. So they're automatically where they need to be.
Awesome. I would love to give this another opportunity.
And then your responses hopefully will be more authentic because they know where to find all of their information and the explanations for when they are not correct.
I look for them to have a SMART score of 80, but I really don't want them to waste their time by guessing. So.
Right, yes. So how would you like to measure how the students are productive in the classroom using this tool?
I would like to measure how many questions they are able to answer correctly out of how many questions they actually answer.
Answered, okay.
In other words, I want to see that they are not guessing. I don't want them to have 20 questions and 10 correct. I want to see a measure of how many questions they answered compared to how many they got correct.
Okay. So,
I guess that would be accuracy.
yeah, so what percentage of accuracy do we want?
I'm thinking at this point in the year, 90% accuracy.
Right,
90
it
to
should be
100%.
reviewed skills, right? So it's skills we've already done. So 90% accuracy after having the group jam done together, so they are clear on what is expected.
And the group jam, I would want them to be getting them correct, but I also want to go into the harder 2 to 4
Right.
harder level questions. That way I'm offering support throughout the lesson. 30% accuracy.
Okay, so we're gonna measure it by,
So
so
number
after the
of
group
correct
jam,
answers.
they're gonna complete the iExcel independently.
Right.
Okay.
And I want to know the number of questions answered correctly compared to the number of questions answered.
Okay, so are you giving them a time limit to work on it? Are you telling them, let's answer 15 questions and
Yes, 15 questions because it does take 15. And out of that, it takes, I think, 13 correct answers to get their 82%.
Okay, so out of 15 questions, they will answer, I mean, we could even do 13 out of 15 questions correctly.
Yes, but I really want them to get 14 out of 15.
Right, well, then let's do 14 out of 15.
Number of correct questions, so we'll say 14 out of 15.
Correct, okay. And then, so how would that goal matter to you in your classroom? How do you think it would benefit your class?
I think for them, it would tell them that yes, they are ready for their milestones assessment.
Okay.
They have learned the material. They can convey that on the computer. And for me, it gives me the assurance that where I think they are, they actually are. It would confirm that their readiness.
Right, okay. So we're encouraging them to answer authentically, not to just guess. That way that we know what they can really do. And by doing the group jams, we are ensuring that they're not just guessing because they don't know what to do.
Right, because if they're in the group jam, they're not getting credit for those questions.
Right.
So it's in everybody's best interest to stay on board and do it the right way.
Yes.
It also will tell me if I need to stop and do reteaching, which is important too. I don't want to find out after the milestones that I needed to reteach.
Right.
I want this to have value.
Yes. So we are preparing them for their assessment at the end of the year and building their confidence as well because our assessment is on the computer. So it helps them in that area too.
Because we don't always use the computer.
No.
And they do need to know the format of a computer generated question.
Perfect. Okay. Are you happy with our goal and feel like we can work toward it?
Yes, and I'm happy with the goal because I think either way, it's gonna tell me what I need to do next. It's going to show me if I need to plan reteaching. And it's also gonna tell me if we're ready to move on to the next review topic.
Yes.
I'm happy with the goal.
Perfect.